Hi, today we're going to have a look at my loft. It's quite a small loft and it's jam-packed with all the bits and pieces. They're just mainly general stuff, and over this side it's all my antique stuff. As you can see, there's loads of boxes of stuff that I've got to sort through one day. But we'll have a quick look and see what we can find. So first of all, we'll have a look at this one. This is an old, it's probably of the time of the Napoleonic Wars. It's got some writing on there and some good old woodworm. And there's a little bung there. And it would have been used for water carrier, probably in a ship where you got the young boys, probably 8 to 12-year-olds, small because they didn't have to duck because they were very low beams in the ship, and they would carry this around, especially in times of war when people would be firing their guns. Lots of smoke, a lot of dust blowing up, and this would have been a water carrier going around filling up their cups or just giving it to them to drink a bit, just to give them some water during the heat of the battle. Again, this was a very dangerous occupation for young boys, because they would be in the heat of the battle and who knows what would happen to them. And they were very young as well. It's like the drummers. We saw that drumstick the other day on my other video. Again, most of the drummers were young boys, and they would be particularly vulnerable because they would be hitting the beat of the drum for the people to walk, and so they would be targets for the other side to take out, because as soon as the beat had gone, people were misstepping and they weren't into line, and it would sort of run out. So these kids were attacked a lot, and they would have been only young boys, and they would have been taken out by the other side. This is a powder horn, again from probably 18th century. That's where the powder had gone, and you've got a little stopper made out of, horn from a cow or something like that. Very easy to make. Just block off this end, hollow it out, put on the side there, and then that's in there. Over here we've got some pictures and things like this. This is a series, Dr. Syntax. Now, he was quite a famous sort of prude, I suppose you could call it, and they just took the fun out of him. And he was always in lots of books. This one, I think it is London, published in 1813. And you can see there's a chaotic scene around him. But these are usually plates out of books, the books that he had it. Again, this is Dr. Syntax, again, falling in the river when he's going around. The 18th century was, especially the latter half, was good for caricatures, because you've got people like Cruikshank and other people, Hogarth. Now this one isn't by either of those. It's just George the Dragon, that's published in 1782. Now, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be referring to, because he says here, hold my dear Rodney, you have done enough. I will make you a lord if you shall hear the happiness of being heard of again. And so it looks like, whether this is Prime Minister, I think, giving him a crown that makes him a lord. But I haven't researched the actual what this is all to do with. But these sort of satirical pictures were a big thing in the 18th century. I believe I've heard that it was because that one year they forgot to pass sort of an anti-libel bill, and so because of that, people were free to make any jokes about people that they liked, especially the Parliament, about kings and queens. And this took out some of the heat. That's why you had a revolution in France, because any criticism of the king or the parliament would have been stamped on, while in Britain people could write these sort of notes and these caricatures and get relief from that. Now this one, again, the other day I was showing pictures of my bone items and I said there were bone ships. Well, this is my bone ship. Now I was able to get it cheap because, as you can see, it's all a bit broken, but it is still mostly there, made out of bone by a French prisoner of war. As you can see, I've got to do a bit of TLC to bring it back to normal. Now the person I got it from, he had it and it fell off a shelf. Now that would have been heartbreaking, I would have thought, to have this beautiful ship fall off and break. It might well be that he just couldn't stand to see it again, so he thought it best to sell it, but I've got to put it together sometime. That'll be quite a... But they are... Usually this is quite a small one. Sometimes they are very large. But that one's I've got to sort out. Now, again, let's have a look in my box here. Oh, let's go into this other box first. Now these are 18th century wooden planes for doing windows and sashes for things like coach builders, because coach building was a big thing. Making window frames out of wood would have been another, so they're mainly 18th century. Here again, these are Napoleonic prisoner of war. Now I said the other time that it was not just the bone that they got from eating, they got straw, because straw was everywhere. It was being used for horses, for mattresses, for pillows, and they made these tiny little bits. I've got some really fantastic ones that are in those boxes. I'll do another video on those. But these you can lift up the top, and it has these little, then they made little colours, all out of straw, and these were just used to sell to people going by. Here we've got another one, and this one is just geometric design, but you can see the tiny little pieces. That would have taken forever. All those tiny bits just to be stuck down. I think it's just plain inside. Yes, it's just a lacquer inside. Lacquer was a big thing in the Victorian times and late Georgian period. But again, loads of work. Again, you've got all these straw made down the side. Now, let's have a look. This is a old-fashioned candlestick. You'd hold it by there. It's a brass one, very and it'll be in candlestick, 18th century. This. Oh yeah. This again. Oops. This again. A straw box. You've got to see the little village or town on there. And again, inside, you've got these beautiful designs made out of tiny bits of coloured straw. Don't think there's, oh yeah, there's nothing much in those sides. Oh, they've got a little church or something in there, a little spire. Yeah, I've got another little box here. This one is in the shape of a book, so you could put it in a bookshelf. Pretend it's a book, but really inside again you've got this tiny little decoration, and then again, and these are also sort of vanity cases, so you've got a little mirror there. That's beautiful zigzag design there and there. Yeah, get those going to be opened up, I think. If I can get those little thingies. Yeah. Does that open up? Yeah, so it's mainly designed, plain design inside, but beautifully made. What else we got in here? Oh, again, another, this is a very simple box, but again, lots of work involved in doing that. Yeah. Oh, no. Now these are flints that were used in guns. They're mainly from I think they came from North India or something, these type of flints. And they're all the same sort of shape. They're sort of flat on the bottom. And they would have been like that, and then they would have made a spark when they hit the other side. What else have we got here? Oh, this is Napoleonic period. Get my fingers in. Little buckle. Little face on there. I got a few bits of this where it came from a Napoleonic site in Latvia nowadays, which was used in the 1812 invasion of Russia. 1812, famous invasion of Russia that almost, this is a little belt buckle again from the same period. There's a little box here. I've got some other little bits. Now those are two little pictures of boats. Now these are fairly modern, but I quite like them because they do show nice pictures of 18th century boats, but they're probably made in China in the last 20 years, I'd have thought. They're not real. This is a Georgian pipe tamper, little boy, and you'd have got your pipe. Let's have a look. In here we've got some pipes in here. Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is an 18th century pipe, 1780s, and you'd put your tobacco in and you'd use this to tap down the tobacco. So they're called pipe tobacco tappers, and you get them on various things. The rest of those pipes, a lot of them are actually, yeah, you can move them around, are 19th and early 20th century, so they're about 1880s to 1910. That's a very beautiful one. You can see, look at that claws on that, beautifully made. And this one again is another claw one. Look at that, beautiful. And it was mainly to hide this. This was where they were made in two halves and then brought together. You can see the slit down here and down here where it was put together. So you'd put this design just to cover it up and make it look pretty. Now, in the 18th century, these are 18th century ones. As you can see, they've got a long bowl, long thin bowl. Now these would have been very, very long. They'd have been up to about here with a pipe. But a working class person, because he needed his hands, because this is all right if you're just sitting in a chair, smoking away, middle class guy, you know, you'll be okay. But if you're working and you needed your hands, you would have stuck this, would have been in your mouth. Oh, we're working. And when you see skeletons of the period, often they have holes in their mouth where this has ground down the tooth. So you can see sort of semicircle dent in the top and a semicircle dent in the bottom, because all day long, and if it was, the pipe was too long, they just snapped off the end, so it was made it smaller so they could smoke it quite easier, rather than having it out here and put it in their mouth. It just wouldn't work, so they snapped off the end and put it in there. But you can see that these are very beautifully made, but most of these ones which are decorated, it's got shamrock on it, looks like an Irish one, maybe it's the Irish regiment or something like that. It's a shamrock and a what's that called, well, anyway, so these were mainly to do with the sort of 1880s, but look at that, that's beautifully made, and if that was complete, that'd be nice. So there's the different ones from different periods, and all having different numbers on it. Is a harp, that's what I was looking for, an Irish harp. Now in here I've got some, what's in here? Oh, these are just plain old musket balls. Is there anything else in here to show? This is a variety of bullets. Now, just show you these, just to give you an idea of. Now, this is an old one because these were musket bullets. They're round, different sizes, and they would have been put in a very long muzzled gun and shot off. Now, because these are irregular and they couldn't ram these tight into the muzzle, otherwise it would stop the expansion, and if you stop the expansion with that, it will blow up in your face. So you wanted to get these out, so you couldn't have them really tight in the gun. So when they were blown out, they would be rattling on the side very slightly, and so when they came out the end, they could go out this way, they could go out that way, they could go out that way. So the accuracy was not very good, and that's why you really needed to have a line of men to shoot at, because otherwise, if you're trying to shoot one without very, very close range, you'd be way out of target. While later on, you got these, and it's got a little rifle in the side of it, and that's to spin. First of all, it's long and thin and not round, and it would spin round in the because these were smooth bore, so there would be no rifling in the middle, while these, the muzzle inside would be lots of little rotating things to rotate this round, so it'd give it momentum and make it straight. And so when these came out, they came out much more straighter than these, so accuracy was greater. So these probably 19th century, sort of 1870s, 1860s, and then you have the Second World War type, like this. So there you have the range of different items. Now I'm going to end it today, but I will be carrying on looking through this collection as and when I've got time to sort through, and we can trudge back further and further over there and further and further over there, because if you can see over there, we've got a nice picture. If you can see that one, oh, you have to get out a bit further over there. We've got a picture, a Hogarth sort of picture. One day we might even get over there, and it's of a rowdy scene of a Hogarth where they're doing things like cat baiting. You can see a cat being held up, some of the nasty things, and there's cockfighting down there, and it just, Hogarth was looking at the barbarity of the times, like drunkenness, and these sort of things that were seen as normal, but nowadays would be greatly frowned upon. Right, thank you very much for this. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this, And I'll be back again soon where we can plough forward through all this stuff. There's lots here to see. I've probably forgotten most of it as well, so we can together look at it. Thank you.